let me tell you a story about XRP. And I want you to listen closely because what's happening right now is not normal. It's not random. And it's definitely not something you want to ignore. Most people only look at the price. They open the XRP chart, see it moving sideways, and they say the same thing. Nothing is happening, but that's the trap. Because the real story, the actual story, is unfolding underneath the chart, quietly, consistently, and faster than most people realize. Let's start here. Every day, a massive amount of XRP is leaving public exchanges, not trickling out. No, it's pouring out, moving into private wallets, cold storage, custody solutions, places where people usually keep assets they don't plan to sell anytime soon. And this is happening while the price barely moves. Now think about that. If the price is flat, if the chart looks boring, then who is quietly taking thousands, sometimes millions of XRP off the open market? This is not the behavior of people who are giving up. This is the behavior of people who are preparing. You see, every financial story has two sides. The noisy side, where everyone argues, tweets, complains, and predicts moonshots, and the silent side, where real decisions get made, where big moves begin, and where the future starts long before anyone notices. Right now, XRP's silent side is louder than ever. And here's the part that changes everything. This massive outflow of XRP from exchanges is happening at the exact same time Ripple is expanding its real-world footprint. Not in the US, not in the height zones, but in the countries where financial pressure is real. Asia, the Middle East, Latin America, Europe, places where money moves fast, where currencies shift aggressively, where banks can't afford 2-day settlement delays. Because if a currency drops even 1% while a transaction is pending, a bank can lose millions. This is the reality nobody talks about. Slow settlement is not just inconvenient, it's expensive. Painfully expensive. This is where XRP fits in. Instant settlement, low cost, trusted infrastructure, and most importantly, it prevents banks from bleeding money during volatility. For years, people mocked XRP for being too fast, too structured, too focused on banks. But now speed is not a luxury. It's survival. Let me give you an example. In Japan, interest rates are shifting after years of being frozen. When yields move, the entire Asian liquidity network moves with it. That means more volatility, more risk, and more pressure on cross-border settlement. And in this environment, the old financial rails, the slow rails, start breaking. So what do banks do? They search for alternatives. Not next year, not next decade, right now. And guess who has already built corridors in Japan, the Philippines, Singapore, and Australia? Ripple. Not tweeting, not hyping, just building, piece by piece. And when you zoom out, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. XRP supply falling, Ripple corridors rising, real-world settlement pressure growing, institutions becoming more silent, not less, liquidity tightening, movement increasing. It's almost like the price is the only part that hasn't caught up yet. But that's how these stories always go. Real adoption happens quietly in the background, and the price wakes up last. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how explosive moves in crypto always come after long, painful sideways phases? Where everyone gets bored, everyone gives up, everyone stops paying attention. Meanwhile, someone else, someone patient, someone strategic, is accumulating. We saw it with Bitcoin in 2015. We saw it with Ethereum in 2019. We saw it with countless assets before their breakout moments. Sideways markets don't mean nothing is happening. Sideways markets often mean everything is happening, just not where retail is looking. And right now, XRP is in one of the tightest, longest, quietest accumulation phases we've seen in years. That should make every investor pause. You don't need hype to see something big forming. You just need to watch the behavior. Let's go deeper. When banks explore new technology, they never announce it loudly. They test quietly, they run pilots quietly, they model liquidity quietly and slowly, without anyone noticing. the infrastructure forms. Then one day, the switch flips. Remember this: the financial world doesn't adjust slowly, it adjusts suddenly. One policy change, one integration, one regulatory green light, and years of preparation connect all at once. That's why this moment is so important. Because XRP is sitting right at the intersection of global liquidity changes, rising settlement costs, and the biggest shift in cross-border technology we've seen in decades. And all while the price sits quietly. That's not normal. That's not random. That's pressure building. And pressure doesn't stay silent forever. If you've been watching XRP for months or years, you can feel it. The story is changing. The tone is changing. The market behavior is changing. This is no longer the early noise phase. This is the setup phase. The calm before something breaks open. Now, could it take time? Sure. Nothing in finance moves perfectly on schedule, but the signs are here: corridors expanding, exchange supply shrinking, volatility increasing globally, banks needing faster rails, Ripple positioning itself exactly where settlement pain is highest. When you combine all these factors, you don't get hype, you get groundwork, you get a system preparing itself for a different financial world. Most people will only understand after it happens. But you're early enough to see the pattern forming, and if you enjoy this deeper, behind-the-scenes breakdown of XRP, not the hype, not the rumors, then stick with the channel. We're going to uncover the real story as it unfolds.